Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me, of course, on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem, breaking down last night's really nice 8 game slate. I was very comfortable, was very calm all day, had done some really solid research, thought I was in position to really strike a blow on a night like last night. Ended up doubling my buy-in. That is nothing to be ashamed of. Really solid performance from a lot of the guys that I had, especially that core four. Um, it was a busy night at the restaurant. Got home right around midnight. Watched the rest of the the Sacramento and Washington game. Then had to stay up for a little while longer and go ahead and watch all the games. I watched 4 or 5 of them condensed, watched a few of them in their totality. That's what I do, man. I've got to watch every NBA game. That is where I can grab that and get the eye test that's going to help me to know who I'm going to be rostering, especially at a time like this. This part in the season, we are in the home stretch. Teams are jockeying for playoff positions. Other teams are going in the tank. You've got guys trying to find out, coaches and GMs and staffs trying to find out what they have to go into next year with. So we're going to see some different rotations, guys that we would normally see get some run or getting burned. And it just was very interesting slate of games we saw last night. So, a couple of quick things, man. Was chopping it up with some cats after the midday mix. I went in there and I went hard, man. And we went in there and we really chopped it up. Got some really solid plays, and I'm sure a lot of us were able to benefit from those guys. And right after the midday mix, man, real cool guy. I think it's Randy Hertz, a really cool guy. He says, man, I got one question to ask you, man. When do you sleep? And it was funny. It was funny, and of course I took it. It was funny. And then a bunch of the other guys in the VIP started to comment, "Yeah, man, this dude probably sleeps during lock. He probably does it." And what that says to me is that there's a certain group of people that really understand how hard I work at this thing, man. And that was so gratifying because something that a lot of us we don't get in our everyday life is gratitude from the people around us. We don't people rarely stop you and say, "Hey, man, you do a great job, bro. I'm proud of you, man." And that's kind of the way I took that, man. So shout out to them cats in the sweatshop in the VIP, man. Y'all are the reason why I'm able to do this with no sleep, to always be on the grind, to watch every NBA game, to give you everything I have, and that kind of told me that these guys are paying attention and that the spotlight is on me, it's on us at the sweatshop, and I can't slow down. There's no stopping us. We got to keep it moving. So shout out to y'all, man, for keeping that in the forefront of my mind. How can I, provide a better, more solid, more user-friendly, active service? And that's something that we are definitely working on in the sweatshop. We're going to be rolling into baseball immediately. We're going to be finishing up basketball fairly soon. So just again wanted to thank you all, man. And another thing, guy hits me up. He says, "Yo, man, I'm in a bad way over the last week or so, man. I haven't really been cashing, haven't hit the 300 club. I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about quitting." So immediately, here's my number. Call me. We gotta talk. And the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to know, what is your roster build? What are you looking for when you go into building your rosters? What site do you play on? Your hedge? How do you? And just everything. I wanted to know his complete process, and we were able to break that shit all the way down. Really gave him what I felt was some solid information. Of course, he is not a stranger to DFS, so he had some really good points that I also used to help me in my game. Guy goes out, hits you up on Twitter, says, "Yo, one call from you, I tripled my buy-in. It was a great night. I feel like I have a better understanding of what I'm doing." That is what the goal is for us here in the sweatshop, man. It is an altruistic movement. All of us know something, and we can help each other in so many ways if we just communicate and stay active, right? That's all we have to do. And there's a groundwork that's been set in place for you when we talk about our core four roster building strategy, also our bankroll management strategy. There are tools already set in place to enhance you and make sure that you can remain or become a profitable daily fantasy sports player. That is the goal of the DFS Sweatshop, and I'm so glad that there are so many cats that are helping out as we attempt to provide that service for so many people, man. So it's been a really great day. I'm so proud of how far we've come, and I really see that we're going to be going, further and further. It's really dope. It's really dope. So let's go ahead and jump into a very quick Core 4 review. Now, I have to lay down a disclaimer because tonight's cash line was about 248. That is about 4.96x value. So, if you were able, with the 50K that they gave you in DraftKings, to parlay that into 5x value, to 4.97 value, there's a really good chance that you cashed. So this Core 4 was not one of my best overall Core 4s, but it was a really good one. I'm very proud of the way some of these guys finished. We're going to start with Pat Beverly. 5.1K was his salary. He was about 15% owned in most GPPs. Scored 21.5 DraftKings points. Kind of an underwhelming performance. We wanted to see more from Pat Beverly, especially at that price point. And there were a few guys around similar price points that we could have used. But we went with Pat Beverly. Not a great return, but when the cheaper guys in your Core 4, really don't make value, but the other guys that you paid up for do, a lot of time they can cover up for the lost points when it came to the salary that we rostered them at. Next guy we're talking about is Al Horford at 5.6K, 19% ownership. I really thought he was in a great spot. He only brought back 24.25 DraftKings points. Not horrible. Didn't kill you. Didn't keep me from cashing, but he definitely did not add to some of the studs that I had in my lineups already. Next guy we're talking about, DeMar DeRozan. Got off to a very slow start. 8.5K was his salary. He went out at 11% owned. Really low ownership on a guy I felt was in a great spot. And I called it in the midday mix. I was like, yo, I'm telling you, DeMar DeRozan is going to drop 50 tonight. And that's exactly what he did. 50-point DK game for him. Really solid outing for DeMar DeRozan. And to round up the Core 4, we got into a little Paul George. I don't just like the spot that he's been in lately, the way he's been able to meet value. We saw a game before this one when he couldn't because the game blew out. He had an awesome first half showing. He did the same thing tonight. Dropped 31 points in the first half. 29 points in the first half, DraftKings points. And finished the game with 46.75 DraftKings points at 12% ownership. 7.8K was the salary. Not a bad showing there at all. This Core 4 finished with 142.5 DraftKings points. So you're telling me I gave you not gave you, but I rostered 4 guys that gave me 142.5 DraftKings points. All I had to do was parlay the other 4 spots into 106 points. And that was not very hard to do. This Core 4 brought you back 5.3x value on a night where 5x value across the board would have easily cashed you. Great Core 4. Really glad with the showing that we had, and that's how I was able to double my buy-in. Next, we're going to talk about the feature 4 plays of the night. These are the 4 most talked about, tweeted about guys in the DFS Sweatshop, in the Facebook VIP, and as well as on Twitter. We're going to start with the Who Dat, scoring all them points over there, play of the night. And this can only go to one dude. Marvin motherfucking Williams went out at 9% owned, 5.6K, brought back 48 DraftKings points. An excellent game we saw in a blowout from the Charlotte Hornets imposed upon the Orlando Magic. Really good game there we saw from Marvin Williams. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the how did I miss that play tonight. This is a guy who people were trying to put me on all day long, man. They were like, yo, you got to get a piece of this dude. He can be a late night hammer. I can see him going off. He has 40-point upside. I did not really take those guys up on those challenges. And at 8% owned, Willie Cauley-Stein was 4.9K, dropped 43.25 DraftKings points. How the fuck did I miss that with cats in the shop telling me that this guy was a solid play? How the fuck did I miss that? Some of us even rostered Kosta Koufos without even realizing how much of a greater play that Willie Cauley-Stein is, because he's the one that's going to be finishing games. He finishes the games. And he was 1,000 more expensive, but he scored damn near double the points that Kosta Koufos scored. Really solid game there from the homie Willie Cauley-Stein. Next thing I've been talking about is the heat check play tonight. This can only go to one player, a guy that I was very high on. I had a few Washington stacks with this guy. I told you I liked him a lot. Even on FanDuel, I said, yo, if you don't feel like paying up the 9.7K to get DeRozan, you shouldn't have a problem paying down a little bit just to grab this guy at 7.5K on DraftKings. Bradley Beal was 13% owned and dropped 63.5 DraftKings points. An awesome game there. He is the heat check play tonight. Salute to you, Mr. Bradley Beal, for balling out the way you did. It didn't have to go to the guy with the highest salary or the guy, who scored the most points, even though he did. It just went out to the guy that fucking balled tonight, and that is you, Mr. Bradley Beal. Again, salute to you, the heat check play of the night. The next guy we're going to talk about is that one motherfucker. This mop head motherfucker has been in our mix quite a few times this year. This is his third time, I believe, garnering such a shitty award as the Snowflake of the Night. I am talking about none other than the mop head ass Jimmy motherfucking Butler. Jimmy, how the fuck did you do this to us tonight? 13% ownership, 9.4K. Dwayne Wade back in the fold. You have every reason to matriculate the ball down the court in order to score baskets, but your punk ass did not do it. Horrible game from you, Jimmy Butler. Horrible game. 29.75 DraftKings points at 9.4K. You should be ashamed of yourself, and that's why tonight you a motherfucking snowflake with your snowflake ass, and I'm not going to roster your bitch ass again. Now, I took up for you earlier. I listened to a couple podcasts. They were like, man, Jimmy Butler doesn't seem like he's too enthused to play. Doesn't seem like he really wants to get out there and ball. Jimmy Butler's got to stick up his ass. Jimmy Butler doesn't. And I was like, nah, man, Jimmy Butler's good. He's going to play well. And I spoke up for you. I spoke up for you. I took you to my homie's house, and you stole from him. You stole 9.4K in salary from him. And for that, you're a motherfucking snowflake, and I ain't gonna roster your bitch ass again. Now let's get on with the rest of the motherfucking shit. Now, normally, what we would do is jump into a recap of last night's games, but it is kind of late. We saw a lot of subpar basketball, a lot of blowouts. Games were not as good as we thought they were going to be on the outset. Plus, we've got a ton to look forward to on tomorrow's 9-game slate. I will not be able or available to do a midday mix. I think I'm going to try, but I'm not going to be available. I have 5 children, 2 of which have had birthdays earlier in the week. We are going to round all the kids up, take them to Columbia, South Carolina, to go hit up Dave and Buster's. So if you are in the Columbia, South Carolina area tomorrow and you want to have fun with DFS Jerusalem and his little children, you can definitely come out and check us out at Dave and Buster's, man. That's where we're going to be getting it in. So let's go ahead. I'm going to jump into my very best DraftKings lineup. And you know what? Today, I found no reason for me to stray too far away from my core plays. I was that confident in my core 4 plays that I had those guys in almost all of my lineups. So let's go ahead and check it out really quick. Let's go ahead and pull this up. And I'll show you my lineups just for a couple of reasons. Number one, I want you to trust me. I want you to know the guys that we have been talking about all day, the guys I have been bringing up are actually the guys that I've been playing. Next, I want you to see, of course, you know, that it is possible, man. It is possible for a regular guy like you, regular guy like me, to come in, put $50 in, and take 100 out. I mean, it wasn't a huge win, but you know, it's a profitable week. There's no way I can go finish the rest of this week without making a profit because my bankroll management strategy tells me to only play 10% of my complete bankroll. I've already won about $600 this week already. I've already won that this week. I gave a little bit of it back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Didn't have very solid nights. Double my buy-in on Friday. Saturday, I'm going to be sticking to my bankroll management. I'm only going to play no more than 10% if I am comfortable with the slate. So this week is already in the books as a positive week. And that's what we look for in DFS. All of us can't win $1 million in GPPs and take down shit. All of us can't do that. But many of us can be profitable players. That is our goal, even though we like to take down a tournament every now and again. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to show you my very best DraftKings lineup, and then I'll show you my single entry lineup. I believe I ran about 8 different lines tonight. That's where I was. I ran about 8 different lines, a lot of which I was confident in. And let's go ahead. I think I had. Where's the very best? Okay, very best DraftKings lineup. Here it is. And you know, tonight, the bad thing about tonight is, look at this. This is my best lineup, and I had it in a couple of entries in the and one. It's a dollar tournament, and I had it 3 times in the quarter games. I build my lineups in the quarter games, graduate them to the dollar games, or single entries, or the the $3 3-entry max, or even the 4-point play if I really like it. I didn't love this lineup as much as I did my single entry lineup. That's why I graduated it. But this did lead in scoring. Now this is a Washington Wizards stack. I talked about that, how I was going to be stacking the Wizards and how I was going to be stacking the Boston Celtics. We talked about that during the midday mix and in last night's video. We had John Wall, 53 DraftKings points. That was 5.3x, not a bad showing for him. Brad Beal, the heat check play tonight, was in there at 63.5. We had Harrison Barnes at 29.25. Not a great game there. Markieff Morris kind of shit the bed for us. He was the only bona fide snowflake in this lineup Al Horford, 24.25. We had Jeremy Lin at 32.25. Trevor Booker, who I really like tonight, got 28.75. And Jameer Nelson, 23.25 DraftKings points. This lineup finished with 274.75 DraftKings points. It was good to cash in the terms that I had it in. And now my single entry lineup. This is the one that I kind of had, the most invested in. I had the most invested. I'm going to show you. Okay, here's my single entry lineup. Now, as you can see, I had it in a few more spots. Is this it? This is it right here. Okay. It's not showing all of it. Why? Is that not it? Looking for that single entry lineup. Yeah, this sucks that I can't find it. I'm sorry, man. This sucks that I can't find it. I'm sorry. Here it is. Because I had two lineups score the same amount. Okay, here it is. This was my single entry lineup. Now, this is every tournament I had it in. I had it in the 25K pick and roll single entry. I think that's a $12 buy. And I had it in the daily dollar. That was a dollar single entry. Had it in the 6K jump shot. That was a $3. Had it in the 6K high five. That was a $5 buy-in. Had it a few times in the quarter arcade. Had it a couple times in the $1 tournament. And also had it in this free silver contest, free silver status contest. So I had about $21 invested in total in this lineup. And this is what it was. It was straight court four. DeMar DeRozan, Paul George. We had Al Horford and Patrick Beverley. I like Norman Powell, the spot he was in. Kind of got thrown for a loop right before lock when we found out that we weren't going to be seeing Norman Powell in the starting rotation, but DeMarre Carroll was coming back. And if I had known that before lock, I would have paid down to DeMarre Carroll and had a much better showing for this lineup. But that news came out after the lineup's locked, so I was stuck with Norman Powell. Jamal Murray was a player that I kind of liked all day. He only scored 16.25 DraftKings points. We talked about Trevor Booker and Al Horford already, John Wall. We talked about those cats. And this lineup finished with 262.25 DraftKings points on a night where 248 would have cashed you. So this lineup really is the one that was able to help me to double my buy-in. So it was a very solid night all around for us here in the sweatshop. Let's go ahead and jump into a quick player pricing preview. This is for tomorrow's 9-game NBA slate. Now, we got 9 games starting at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. So let's check this out. Let's check out what we got. Because I keep getting messages about, man, I should have threw this in the main. We've got the 3 o'clock early. We've got a 8:30 turbo with 3 games. We can make one and throw it in there. We've got a 9 o'clock 4-game late. We can make lineups there, throw them in the main. We've also got a 3-game turbo and a 2-game later. So we can make lineups in these spots if we like the point totals and the players involved. If they're juicy enough, we can throw them in the main and watch it work. So let's go ahead and pull up the player pricing for tomorrow's 9-game slate. And the first thing we see is that the highest salaried player on the slate is going to be LeBron James in a super plus matchup against the Orlando Magic, who just came off a beatdown from the Charlotte Hornets. Now, I have 2 things to say about this player and this game particularly. LeBron James is probably the safest player in NBA DFS right now. This guy wants to lead the league in minutes. He wants to score all the points, get all the assists and all the rebounds, and be the best player on the floor night in and night out. This dude wants to lead the league in minutes. I always love LeBron James. But the Orlando Magic suck. They got their ass blown off tonight or last night by the Charlotte Hornets. So I don't know if I can pay up for LeBron and knowing that I'm probably not going to see 4 quarters from him. If you feel that Orlando can keep this game close at home, coming off of that big loss, then by all means, get LeBron James in your lineups. Karl Anthony Towns, 10.4, very fair price for him in a super plus matchup going to Milwaukee, coming off a big win against the Golden State Warriors. I like him. Nikolai Jokic at 10.3 against Sacramento. Yes, you can do that all day long. Giannis Antetokounmpo at 10.1. He is in play as well, as is DeMarcus Cousins going up against the Charlotte Hornets at 10.1. This game is in Charlotte. I really want to go to this game. John Wall at 10.1. He's going to be in play tomorrow against the worst defense in the league against point guards. Anthony Davis is not a play that I'm particularly interested in. He's coming off an injury, but he is going to play tomorrow. Kawhi Leonard probably will not play. He is still inside the league's concussion protocol. Steph Curry, we learned that he is going to be ruled out tomorrow at 9.4K. So that opens up a lot of value on the slate. We're going to see all of these guys being heavily rostered because so much value is going to be opened up from that Golden State San Antonio game. Kyrie Irving at 8.9 is not a play that I'm particularly interested in tomorrow. Dame Lillard, yes, give me some of that. I do like DeMar DeRozan again at 8.4, even though he's going up against a very tough perimeter defense with the Miami Heat. In Miami, the guy is the team's only scoring option. I do like DeMar DeRozan tomorrow. Kevin Durant is out, of course. Kemba is at home against Jrue Holiday, 8.1. He didn't have a great game last night. Nobody wants to be on him, but the matchup was pretty tough. It just was a tough matchup, and they blew him out, so they didn't need to see much Kemba. But I think tomorrow they might. I like him. Eric Bledsoe at 8.1 is a play that deserves consideration, I believe. I also like Mike Conley at 7.9. He is at the grindhouse with one of the league's worst defenders on the ball at the point guard spot in Dennis Schroeder coming to guard him. I love Mike Conley tomorrow. He's one of my favorite plays already, just looking at the slate. Kevin Love is out, of course. Whiteside at 7.8 definitely deserves consideration there. Draymond Green is another Golden State guy, not going to be playing tomorrow. Bradley Beal, 7.5. A lot of people are going to want to go out and roster him after what he did last night, but I'm just not feeling him tonight. Andrew Wiggins, yes, at 7.4K. I kind of like that. Marc Gasol matched up against, some Al Horford and maybe some Dwight Howard. I'm not a big fan of that. Jrue Holiday at 7.3. You can play point guards against the Charlotte Hornets. You can definitely do that. You can do that. We saw that the other day with Dragic, and I think Jrue Holiday is going to be in a really nice spot. I like Goran Dragic at 7.2. He's one of my favorite point guard players on the slate. Nick Vucevic probably is going to play tomorrow, and if he does play, I think you can give me some of LeBron. If Vucevic plays, I like LeBron just that much more. Wilson Chandler, the price has not moved on him. Going to Sacramento, I kind of like him in that spot. I also think C.J. McCollum is a solid play, even though he's going to be seeing some Brad Beal defense, who is a pretty solid defender. I like C.J. McCollum tomorrow. Nick Batum at 7K. I like him. We can play Nick Batum. Elfrid Payton, 7K, going up against Kyrie Irving defense. You can give me some of that as well. Paul Millsap is a no for me. I don't like him at the price point, even though it's down to 6.9. This is a very tough matchup for power forwards when it comes to Memphis Grizzlies at the grindhouse. Ricky Rubio at 6.8 is not a play that I'm particularly interested in, even though he has been obliterating quote-unquote tough point guard matchups. So he does deserve consideration. He does. Steph Curry, low bruh, at 6.8. I don't like that. Yusuf Nurkic is down to 6.7. I think we can definitely roster him tomorrow at that price point. The dude went out and dropped 81 points, and the price went down. I have no issue with that. Chris Middleton at 6.6 is not a play that I'm particularly interested in today. Klay Thompson, another Golden State guy, is going to be out. Dion Waiters at 6.5 is a no for me. Allen Williams at 6.5 deserves consideration, definitely. Dwight Howard is a no for me. I do like LaMarcus Aldridge at 6.5 if he does play. I know we're going to be seeing Kawhi rest, so that would leave him as the best player on the San Antonio starting unit. Markieff Morris at 6.4. Yeah, I like Markieff tomorrow. Devin Booker is also a player that I have limited interest in. Harrison Barnes, give me some of that. Now, this team is on a back-to-back, so we got to be careful, but I do like Harrison Barnes. Dennis Schroeder matched up against Mike Conley. If he was one of the bigger guards, I would say okay. But just the fact that Mike Conley is such a really good defender, I'm not going to have very much Dennis Schroeder tomorrow. Otto Porter at 6.2 is not a player that I really like. Neither is Serge Ibaka at 6.1. Mason Plumlee at 6.1. No, that price needs to come down. It has to. Dirk Nowitzki at 6.1. And see, the funny part about Mason Plumlee is we wasn't sure if we were going to see Jokic. So I think the Plumlee shares were pretty high, which raised the price on him. Just the fact that a lot of people rostered him, but he didn't even play. he didn't even play much because we saw Jokic for most of the game. Dirk Nowitzki at 6.1 after really shitting the bed tonight. Nobody's gonna want to play Dirk. I think he is in consideration. I do like Danilo Gallinari at 6K going to Sacramento. TJ Warren has been playing lights out as of late. He is somebody that does deserve consideration, even though he is in a tough power forward DVP matchup. 6K, not a bad price. Aaron Gordon is 5.9. We definitely can use some of him. Greg Monroe is 5.8. We can use some Greg Monroe tomorrow. Zebo is 5.8 and one of the toughest matchups for power forwards. But like I always tell you about Zach Randolph, man, whenever they are playing at the grindhouse, this guy definitely deserves some consideration to be in your lineups because he's just such a fan favorite. The crowd loves him. When he gets on the floor, man, the crowd goes wild every time. James Johnson at 5.8. You know I like James Johnson. I think I can have him. Evan Fournier, we can attack the Cleveland Cavaliers at the shooting guard position. I like Evan Fournier to be able to do that. Darren Collison is in play definitely at 5.7. Nerlens Noel, he was out yesterday, may not play again. Marvin Williams at 5.6 had an awesome game last night. Some folks are going to want to chase that, but not me. Gary Harris, I like him, especially for his defensive prowess at 5.6, guarding that perimeter when it comes to the Sacramento Kings. Those guys turn the ball over a lot. I think Gary Harris can have 3, 4, 5 steals tomorrow. I like him. Al-Farouq Aminu at 5.6 is a play that I'm really interested in as well tomorrow. Because Matt Biyombo at 5.4, I don't care what happens. I don't care if Vooch doesn't play, I don't want Biyombo. If Vooch plays, I don't want Biyombo. I don't care. I don't want him. Tyreek Evans, he burned a lot of people last night, man. With after Locke finding out that he was going to be out through the rest, that really sucks, man. I feel for you. At 5.4, I think the price is just up a little bit too much on Maurice Harkless. Tim Hardaway Jr. has shown he is a baller. And if he starts this game tomorrow, I can definitely get a piece of him at 5.3K. I have no problem with that at all. Tyler Johnson is a no for me. Wesley Matthews, yes, at 5.3. We can attack the Phoenix Suns at the shooting guard position or anywhere on the wing for that matter. And I think at Dallas, this game's going to be fairly close, and we're going to see a solid game in the fourth quarter from Wesley Matthews. Gorgui Dieng at 5.2. Even though it's the second-ranked DVP against power forwards, I like the spot Gorgui Dieng is in. And if I like Rubio, I kind of like Dieng. Cody Zeller at 5.2. He definitely deserves consideration there, but he's going to be matched up with Boogie, and that's always a tough matchup. I mean, this dude can pick up 2 quick fouls because Boogie is so active around the cup on the low block, and we not see much Cody Zeller tomorrow. So Terrence Ross at 5.2. I am done. I've stopped. I've stopped trying to get Terrence Ross to come around and show up and be a good player. He's just not going to do it. He doesn't want to do it, and I don't want to sit through it anymore. I'm just not. Corey Joseph at 5.2 had a solid game out last night, but I don't think that happens again. Marcin Gortat at 5.2 is not a play that I'm particularly interested in. I kind of like Yogi Ferrell at 5.2. He gets to start against the Phoenix Suns, or they may be able to work JJ Barea into the rotation more, which would push a couple of these guys' minutes down. Paul Gasol at 5.1, not a play that I really like too much. Malcolm Brogdon, he was out today, last night due to rest. I think MKG is in a solid spot at 5K. Willie Cauley-Stein, 5K. As long as he's that cheap, man, you got to play him. Going up against Jokic, Jokic is not a premier defender, man. He's more of an offensive player. And I think that we can definitely look to Willie Cauley-Stein tomorrow at 5K to return us maybe some 6X value. Tristan Thompson, yes, at 4.9. I kind of like him. I will be stacking in some way the Cleveland Cavaliers. I always do that whenever LeBron is on the slate. I think that Tristan Thompson is somebody who I can get in there, and I can kind of leave Kyrie out. I don't like Kyrie's spot tomorrow. Ty Lawson should get some more minutes at 4.9K. I don't have a problem with him. Will Barton at 4.9. Everybody's coming back healthy for the Denver Nuggets. Is kind of pushing Will Barton out of the rotation right now. Marcus Chris at 4.9. We can definitely look to him. I like that. Jonas Valanciunas has been balling out, and I'm probably going to roster him tomorrow, and he's not going to do shit. I always miss on Jonas Valanciunas, man. Tyler Ulis was like the man of the hour for literally an hour, and he fell off really quick. Don't want that tomorrow. Andre Iguodala, another guy that's going to be victimized by the rest situation in Golden State. Jameer Nelson at 4.6. If he starts, you can give me some of that. Tony Allen at 4.4 should see very high defensive usage. We know that Tim Hardaway Jr. is a guy that likes to chuck up shots and get the ball in the air. Maybe Tony Allen can make him put the ball on the floor, maybe get some steals and some rebounds. I don't have a problem with him. Norman Powell at 4.8. I kind of like the spot that he is in. David Lee, if we don't see Kawhi Leonard, David Lee could see an increased role either off the bench or in the starting rotation. Either way, I like him. Ersan Ilyasova at 4.2 is not a player I'm particularly interested in. Neither is Kent Bazemore at 4.1. JaMychal Green either at 4.1. Alex Len, this dude's gonna have a good game at some point. If he continues to start, man, he's gonna have a good game, a big double-double at some point. I'm talking 20 and 14. So I do like Alex Len tomorrow at 4.1K. That's a very cheap price point for a guy who's gonna start. And the way the Phoenix Suns coach, the way he coaches this team is if you start and you out there and you having a solid game, a solid first quarter, he's not gonna yank you, bro. He's gonna let you ball out, and I don't have a problem with that. Thabo, 4K, no. Josh Richardson, 4K is a no for me. Jamal Murray at 4K is somebody who I do have interest in. I don't like PJ Tucker at 4K. Tony Parker is questionable, probably won't play tomorrow. He set out the last game in favor of DeJounte Murray. That was a disaster. Patty Mills was a disaster as well. Shabazz Muhammad at 3.9. He does not fit my roster rules at the moment. De'Aaron Williams at 3.9 is not a play that I'm particularly interested in either. But with Kyle Korver probably not being available to play tomorrow, that's going to bring into consideration a few more guys from the Cleveland Cavaliers backcourt, I believe. Juan Hernangomez at 3.9 is a no for me. Costa Cooper's the price is still cheap. The dude's still 3.9. He didn't have an awesome game out because he was limited in minutes down the stretch of the game. I would rather just pay up and go with Cauley Stein. Jonathan Simmons at 3.9K. If he gets to start tomorrow, he is definitely money in the bank. Alan Crabb at 3.9 is not a player that I'm particularly interested in. Neither is Tony Snell at 3.8. Bielita is a thing right now. He is scoring the ball really, really well. I'm not going to chase that down with that 3.8K tomorrow, though. Derek Williams at 3.8. If we think that the game blows out and we don't see a ton of LeBron James, that's somebody you can look at. DeMarre Carroll is still very cheap at 3.8. No problem there. Garrett Temple, 3.8. Buddy Hield, 3.8. Not guys that I'm particularly looking to target tomorrow. Danny Green at 3.8. That's a play that I kind of like. We know we're not going to be seeing the Splash Brothers. We're not going to be seeing Iguodala. We're not going to be seeing Draymond Green. Maybe Danny Green just kind of gets off because those guys are not going to be on the court tomorrow. Matt Dellavedova, 37 DK salary for him. He went out and started, did not have a really great game last night. Jordan Crawford is a new for me. Channing Frye, yes, at 3.7K. Give me some of that as long as Kevin Love is out. Wayne Ellington is a no. Let's go ahead and find Dwayne Dedmon, 3.7. Really solid play there. I kind of like that. Because they're not going to be able to do that run up and down the field shit. There's no Curry. There's no guy that's in transition can just pull up and yank a deep three-point bomb. There's nobody playing like that for Golden State tomorrow. And I think it's going to be a slower paced game that's going to favor the San Antonio Spurs. I like Dwayne Dedmon. Terrence Jones did not get his ass up off of the bench last night. Therefore, I will not have him in my lineups today. Etuan Moore, 3.5. He deserves consideration if you need that salary-saving punt option at the shooting guard position. Andrew Harrison is a no. J.R. Smith, 3.5. That's a very cheap price on the guy. If I know he's not going to see a minutes limit restriction, I would give him a shot. Skal Labissiere at 3.5 could be in play against the Denver Nuggets. Jaja, old reliable, old trusty Jaja, 3.5K. Get him in your lineups. I have no problem with that. Ian Mahimi, 3.5 is a no for me. Tim Frazier is a no for me. Vince Carter, 3.4, deserves some kind of consideration. Chandler Parsons probably won't play, so we will see a little bit more of Vince Carter tomorrow. They're going to start with like James Ennis and then bring in Vince Carter. Jeff Green is a no. Marco Belinelli is a no. Jeremy Lamb, 3.3. I like that more than I like Marco Belinelli. Aaron Aflalo at 3.3. All this dude does is fucking post up. This dude probably thinks he can post up Shaq. This is the worst player in the association right now. This dude fucking sucks. Aaron Aflalo is a horrible basketball player. Kyle Anderson, he's questionable, probably won't play tomorrow, 3.3K. Matt Barnes, 3.3. I like Matt Barnes tomorrow. I'm immediately going to be on Matt Barnes tomorrow. I like him. Pat McCaw, 3.3. Deserve consideration, definitely. He's probably going to be in the starting rotation. We're going to get that news later on in the afternoon. DJ Barea, 3.3. He says he feels great. He wants to play a little bit more, get the minutes ticked up. John Hinton saw a really solid game last night at 3.2K. Went out and scored 27 plus DraftKings points. No, I'm not chasing that. Tony Douglas, Iman Shumpert, Anthony Tolliver is a no. James Ennis at 3.1K. Let's go ahead and find that 3K play today. It could be Brandon Rush is starting.
not much to like. There's not much to like, man. You know, three K, man, is a very cheap salary. There's just not a lot that we can get our hands on at 3K. Maybe some Michael Delaney, maybe Torian Prince, maybe from Atlanta. There's not a lot to love, man. DJ Augustine maybe at 3K. For Cleveland, we know that Watson is not going to be playing. He's out for the season, remainder of the season. So maybe we look at him. Also, maybe some Mario Hezonja at 3K, going out shooting the jump shot really well. There's not a lot of places to turn, man. So let's go ahead and yank this logo back up, because that's what we do it for. We do it for the logo. And just to run through a quick point total preview from for today's 9-game NBA slate. I believe the games start at 7 on the main, but we do have a couple of games early. We've got Utah, Oklahoma City, Philadelphia, LA Lakers, and New York, Detroit, my Knicks against the Detroit Pistons. And I can tell you, you know, this just not a lot to like about the New York Knicks, especially in the spot that they've been in lately. So, but we're gonna start with Utah, Oklahoma City, and the beauty of this is, you know, there's no there's no Westbrook on the slate. He is on the slate, but there's no Westbrook on the slate. We're in a situation where we have to roster Westbrook if we're going to be playing that early. There's no point total or spread, at least for the game yet, because we do have some injury concerns. But like I said, man, that's a stack, that's a little smaller state that you can stack on with Utah, Oklahoma City, Philadelphia, and the LA Clippers. The Clippers are the favorite, giving up 12.5 points to the 76ers. Also, it's a 216-point total. The New York Knicks are a 211-point total with the Detroit Pistons, and they are receiving 6 points from the Pistons in Detroit at the Motor City. So those are the earlier games. You can just stack those however you feel free. Now we're going to jump into the 9-game slate that starts at 7 o'clock. We're going to start in Charlotte, man, where I should be tomorrow watching the New Orleans Pelicans come to town. Little Anthony Davis, a little Boogie. Is going to be a really solid game. The only thing that kind of bothers me is the point total is very low. 202.5 points is the total, with the Charlotte Hornets giving up 2.5 to the New Orleans Pelicans. Immediately, I know I like to attack the Charlotte Hornets on the glass. I have no problem doing that with either or Davis or Boogie. But I think I'm going to lean more towards Boogie. He frame is sturdier, probably won't get hurt during the game and cost you some money. Anthony Davis is just coming off of an injury, so I won't be going there. I like Jrue Holiday matched up against Kemba. I think we can look to him just sparingly though. But I like the Kemba matchup better though. I really wasn't big on Kemba last night, being home, but on this tonight, I like Kemba. Going up against Jrue Holiday, I think Kemba's in a really solid spot. I think the bigs on the New Orleans side could help keep the game very close, and the wing and the point guard players from the Charlotte Hornets side can do their part to make sure that this is a game that comes down to the fourth quarter and we see a full allotment of minutes for all of the stars involved. Next game we're talking about is the Cleveland Cavaliers going to Orlando to take on the Magic. You know, there's no point total or spread release for this game because we know Vucevic is still, questionable. His status is still up in the air. We don't know if he's going to be playing or not. And we can't release the point total until we know these things for a fact. So the Cleveland Cavaliers are probably the only team that I'm going to straight up stack tomorrow. I'll probably go 3, maybe even 4 deep on the Cleveland side. There's a lot of guys over there that I like. Elfrid Payton on the Orlando side also is a player that I'm kind of interested in. Anytime you can match up a decent point guard against a Kyrie Irving defense at a very cheap price point, you might be cooking with grease on that one. Okay, 7K is the salary though on Payton, and I think he can exceed value with that. I really do think he can. I think he can. Also, if Vooch is out, if Vooch is out. If Vooch is playing, I don't want anything to do with him. But if Vooch is out, we can look to him. A lot of folks, if Vooch is out, are going to rock with Bismack Biyombo. I don't have a problem with that, but I won't have many in my lineups. So I'm going to be fading him. Next game I'm going to talk about is the Toronto Raptors going to Miami to take on the Heat. This is a 203 point total, with the Toronto Raptors being the road dog. Miami is the home favorite. They are giving up 5 points. A few players I like automatically. I like Goran Dragic, I like James Johnson, and I like Hassan Whiteside. Those are three guys that I really like. And I'm going to have those guys in a few of my rosters. On the Toronto side, the only person that I feel 100% confident in playing is DeMar DeRozan, simply because the usage is through the roof. I believe it's about 43%. The dude is going off, and he's playing very well. So I like him tomorrow. Next game we're talking about is the Minnesota Timberwolves going to Milwaukee to take on the Bucks. This is a 203.5 point total, with the Milwaukee Bucks giving up 2.5 points. Now, what is Giannis? Is he a point guard? Is he a small forward? Is he a center? Blah, blah, blah. I just know he's going to be guarded by uh, by Andrew Wiggins, who is a solid on-the-ball defender. There was a point in the season where this was the best team in the league against small forwards, and that's just not the case right now. I chopped it up with a cat in the group, and he hit me to some really solid information. That's just not the case right now. And marquee small forwards really go ham against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that puts me more in the mindset of giving Giannis a shot. Even though he's priced up, it makes me kind of want to give him a shot. If I roll out 10 lineups, I'll have Giannis in one of them. Not too much else that I like on the Milwaukee side, but back to the Minnesota side, I think Ricky Rubio is definitely in play. Karl Anthony Towns is most certainly in play, as well as Wiggins as a contrarian play. Next game to talk about is the Golden State Warriors going to San Antonio to take on the Spurs. Now, there's no point total or spread yet released for this game due to the fact we just found out that four of the main guys, three starters and their main six man off of the bench, are not going to be playing tomorrow due to rest. That is per Coach Kerr. So we got to find out who's going to be playing. We're going to see McCaw. We're going to see Looney. Are we going to see just that much more? Some Jaja, some JaVale McGee. Some Michael McAdoo. Like, who are we going to see from the Golden State side? And once we get that information, who's going to be starting, we can definitely work from there, hit that game up, grab those pieces of value, and pay up for the studs that we want in other spots. On the San Antonio side, no, we're not going to see Kawhi Leonard. He is still in the league's concussion protocol. That makes Jonathan Simmons a very interesting play, as well as LaMarcus Aldridge. Those are guys that I kind of like. I like David Lee in the spot too. I don't like Paul Gasol at all. I think we can give a strong consideration to a guy like Dwayne Dedmon at 3.7 on DraftKings, and I think hovering right just below 4K on FanDuel, if I'm not mistaken. The next game I'm going to talk about is the Phoenix Suns going to Dallas to take on Mavericks. This is a 215-point total, with the Dallas Mavericks giving up 7 points in the matchup. Man, Berea's back. We got Devin Harris. We got Wesley Matthews. We've got so many guys jockeying for minutes and positioning when it comes to that Dallas backcourt, and that uncertainty kind of makes me want to fade those guys all together. If I roster anywhere, it's going to be on the Phoenix side. I like Bledsoe. I think he's in a really nice spot. We can also definitely look to Alex Len. I think at 4.1K, he's going to have a good game at some point. The price is still very cheap on him. I also think that we can look to Marcus Chris or TJ Warren in this matchup. The only guy that I kind of don't love is Devin Booker, just because he only scores. He doesn't do much else besides score. Next game we're going to be talking about is the Atlanta Hawks going to the Grindhouse to Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. This is the lowest point total so far on the slate. 202 points is the total. The Memphis Grizzlies are giving up 5 points to the Atlanta Hawks. So the Atlanta Hawks are immediately on a road swing, going ahead to Memphis. I like Conley. Not too in love with Marc Gasol. Not too in love with him. We've got some more information that's going to be coming out about this game, particularly coming up tomorrow, as far as who's going to be starting between Thabo Sefolosha and Tim Hardaway Jr. Hopefully Tim Hardaway Jr. can start, because I do like him in this matchup. Conley's my favorite player on the Memphis side, and we just talked about not wanting to just roster in bad spots. Like Shooter is not beast enough for me to test a good defender, because a lot of times, like last night, we know that Darren Collison is a pretty solid defender. It's a pretty decent team defense they have in Sacramento when it comes to the point guard position. Everyone knows that. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to roster John Wall. And I got him in my single entry GPPs at 6% ownership on an 8-game slate. That is wonderful. That's what you want. So I don't think we're going to see a huge game from Dennis Schroeder tomorrow. I would think it's more of a Dwight Howard or Millsap kind of game, kind of a bang out, low post game there. Next game I'm going to talk about is the Washington Wizards going to Portland to take on the Trail Blazers. This is the highest point total on the slate, 226 points, with the Portland Trail Blazers only giving up 2.5. This is going to be a very juicy game. A lot of folks are going to want to get involved in this game. I can see the Golden State San Antonio and this game, the Washington Portland game, being the most, like the highest salaried guy, highest rostered guys when it comes to tomorrow's slate. So everybody's going to be wanting a piece of this game, and for good reason, because Portland Trailblazers and the Washington Wizards have two of the most prolific scorers in the game today, and they can do it in multiple ways. They don't just have to score the ball. They can rebound, they can assist, they can play defense, get steals, blocks, things of that nature. So Dame Lillard, awesome play, love him a lot. I even have a soft spot in my heart for Nurkic. The price didn't go that far up. Well, actually, it went down because he was at 7K. Now he's at 6.7K. So they're trying to give us this one last game of him balling out before they shoot that motherfucker up to 7.5K, and then we roster him and he busts. So I'm gonna take one more shot at Yusuf Nurkic tomorrow, going against the Washington Wizards and a center that's not very fleet of foot. Let's just put that, because Gortat cannot move around as much as Nurkic can. So that's just that right there. Of course, we talked about John Wall, Bradley Beal, who is in play, but I don't love him. I like Otto Porter and Markieff Morris a little bit in this game. It's a really, really solid game here. And remember, the point total is 226. That is a very nice point total. Next game we're going to talk about, and the last game on the slate, the late night hammer game, once again, is going to be the Denver Nuggets going to Sacramento to take on the Kings. The weird part about this game is it's the latest lock. If something crazy happens around 8 o'clock and like, oh shit, Jokic re-aggravated his thumb and he's not going to be playing, then your line's going to be fucking toast. So when you're looking for that late night hammer, roster a guy that you feel safe about rostering. We know Tyreke Evans did not play last night, so he might play tonight. That's something that you can be on the lookout for. Also, Wilson Chandler has stepped in and gotten a really, really solid role, rebounding the basketball and scoring. Him and Jokic have developed a really nice rapport. I see it on the court as I watch the games. I can definitely take a look at Jamal Murray in some spots, maybe on the Portland side. Dame, McCollum, Nurkic, that's the way to go. Yeah, I'm not going to get too cute about it. Those are the guys that I'm going to be having in most of my lineups, the guys that we talked about. I've already established my player pool in my head. That is the goal for this quick session. What we do, we run through the point totals as well as the player pricing. That way you can check a guy out and say, no, I'm not fucking with him. Or you can put a guy on and say, yes, I'm going to have multiple exposures to this gentleman. So this has been your DFS Jerusalem. You can follow me, of course, on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. If you would like to support the show further, first, understand you are supporting the show in its purest form by giving me a voice on YouTube. I appreciate you immensely. But if you wanted to further support the show, there's a box over there that says support the show. Go ahead and click that box. Let it take you where it has to take you. Also, you can copy some DFS Sweatshop swag. There's going to be a link in the description of this video. And also, you can patronize my personal PayPal at simmonsmaurice95@yahoo.com. If that ain't enough for you, go on and come on in and become a part of the best DFS crew in the business. This is the DFS Sweatshop. You can go to DFS Sweatshop, www.dfssweatshop at www.dfssweatshop.com is where you can go, and that's where you're going to get all of our tips and tricks and tutelage, everything that we have that's going to be making you a better, more proficient and profitable daily fantasy sports player. Of course, I'm your host of DFS Jerusalem. There's only one thing that I want you to do in or out of the sweatshop when you go out about your day. No matter what you do, you keep it 300.